Hey everybody, welcome to Improv FAQ. I'm James Quesada, and in this episode, we're going to talk about putting together practice groups and indie teams. We'll talk about what they are, why you might want to put one together, and what's on the checklist of making it happen. So what are practice groups and indie teams? Well, first of all, most improv theaters have what are called house teams. House teams are teams or troupes of improvisers that are cast and curated by a theater. They perform regular shows as featured talent of that theater, and indie teams are groups of improvisers that get together on their own accord to operate and book shows independently of any theater. Not everyone is interested in or ready to do shows, so there's also practice groups which mainly get together to practice. Maybe you're taking improv classes and you just want a chance to run exercises more than once a week, or you're curious about a particular playing style, playing more impulsive, playing more patient, or you just want to get together and try all sorts of forms and games. Sounds like you might want to put together a practice group. If you want to do some or all of those things, but you're also itching to get on stage and do shows with the people that you're working with, that's an indie team. Do the names practice group and indie team really matter? No. What is important is to know what you want out of either one, so that if you end up doing the work to put one together, you set yourself up with the best chance of getting what you want out of it. Whether you're looking to put together an indie team or a practice group, that's going to be the first step, is to know why you're starting the group, what you want to work on. It's not only going to make it more worth your while for organizing the thing, it's also going to make it easier when you invite people into it to know whether you want the same things. And when it comes to inviting people, maybe it's people you've taken classes with, maybe it's people you see at improv shows that seem like they would be fun to work with. It's totally up to you. What you should probably do is decide to either invite people to be in the group first, and then find a day and time that works for everyone's schedules, or start by picking a day that works for you and then ask around to see who else is available for that same schedule. You should also have a good idea of how frequently you want to meet, which helps people know what kind of commitment they're signing on for. Next, you want to find a space to meet. Ideally, you would be able to rent a room either through an improv theater or some kind of studio space in your community. But if all else fails and you need to rehearse in someone's living room or basement, do what you got to do. We definitely all have done that before. Next, you're going to want to hire a coach. This could be a teacher, a director, or a fellow improviser with a good amount of experience whose style you just appreciate. A coach might be able to help you with some of the other steps, but ideally you would have as much of it sorted out as possible before you take on a coach. That's going to make it a lot easier for your coach to just focus on getting you what you want out of your practice group. If you know who you want to have coach your group and you want to stick with that person the entire time, great. You might also want to try out different coaches as you go. Just be respectful of each coach's time and keep open to the different things that each coach has to offer while they're coaching your rehearsals. Be prepared to pay your coach. Work out a rate that is fair and manageable to both the coach and the team. Speaking of money, it's a good idea to have a plan for how you're going to collect dues and spread out the cost of paying a coach and renting rehearsal space amongst your group. Once you have all that stuff out of the way, if your goal is to have a practice group, you got everything you need to start meeting up. At that point, the main focus is to just keep it fun and flexible. Putting together a practice group is a lot of work, so make sure you're enjoying it and keeping the pressure low and the fun high. If your goal is to put together an indie team, depending on the experience level and goals of everyone involved, you may want to do some or all of the same things involved in setting up a practice group. The main difference, though, is going to be booking shows. So get a good knowledge of your improv community and when and where stage time is available for indie teams. Find out what it takes to submit to those shows and start working on the criteria. Most of the time, you're going to be looking at existing shows put up by a theater or another venue that host guest teams. If you're submitting to play as a guest team in an existing show, you might need as little as a team name. You'll probably also need a team roster just to be narrowing down who's in your group. You might also need a bio or a description of your show or playing style. It might also come in handy to have a group photo, maybe even social media links for your team. Heck, you might even get to pick your own walk-on music if you're lucky. There are also some opportunities to take over entire show blocks and have your team be the host. In that case, things like a show description, group photos, show poster, and social media links are more likely to be required. This kind of show opportunity is technically producing a show more than just signing up to play. So it's a lot more involved, and if you're just getting started as an indie team, it's probably best to look at playing into existing shows first and flag these types of shows for later. Another decently common type of show that you might be able to submit to is a tournament. Lots of improv communities have competition-based shows, usually either like a bracketed knockout tournament or a King of the Hill winning streak competition, and most of the time it's 2 or 3 teams that play back-to-back in the same hour, and then the audience votes on which team had the best show. If you get involved with improv tournaments and competition, just try not to take it too seriously. If you end up caring more about winning than you do about having fun, you will definitely lose. How about that? In my next video, I'll talk about one more type of show opportunity that you should really keep an eye out for, which is festivals. But for now, I hope you got enough info from this video to make a checklist of the things you'll need to get started with your own improv practice group or indie team. Feel free to comment with any follow-up questions or make suggestions for other questions that you'd love to have answered on Improv FAQ.